I didn't mean to, but today I saw 2 war-ish movies and 2 movies with Ed Harris, and this is the Ed Harris and war-ish movie called My Dead Friend Zoe. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing My Dead Friend Zoe. So what's this about? Pretty simple premise. We're following a girl and PTSD through and throughout coming back from the war, and now she's got to figure out what she's going to help with her grandfather who's on early stages of Alzheimer's. And then she has to go to Morgan Freeman, a counseling session because she did something at work. Will she be able to have relationships? Will her mind be at mends from Zoe? As well as can she, I want to say control her mother, but her mother's very controlling. Can she manage this landscape of just chaos in her life? So did I like this film? I thought it was a pretty good film. What irked me, I wouldn't say it was the movie itself. It's saying it's based off a true story / event. And the true story and event is about 2 platoon mates from the director who looks like committed suicide coming back from the war. Cool. Now, cool is not cool, but I'm trying to say this story, okay, that's a phrase. Understandable. Suicide happens, like 7 out of 10. At gun violence, they're saying. But okay, here's the thing. This movie has nothing to do with the actual story of being a true story. Yes, there are true stories of soldiers, Marines, Air Force members, airmen committing suicide. But this movie is very fictionalized when it comes to what can someone see in their head. This didn't happen downrange. Morgan Freeman's character's fake, and Harris's character's fake, and things like that. Yes, maybe some of the scenarios can be true, but the overall concept isn't. And so that's why when people talk about based on true stories or true events, especially with like I'm Still Here, which just came out, I'm very, very skeptical about some of these true-ish events. But when we look at this movie, it is a stacked cast with Morgan Freeman, Ed Harris, and the 2 other girls as well. And their names are Sequenta Martin Green, as well as Natalie Morales, are also in this movie, and they do a fantastic job playing their characters. I do think there's enough depth for some of these characters, especially with Morgan Freeman being the guidance counselor, talk about his Vietnam experience, as well as Ed Harris, talk about his Vietnam experience, about how maybe we don't want to talk about it, but us talking about it helps other people talk about their issues or their post-traumatic stress as well. Because you know what? Sometimes letting it off your chest is the best way to do it, and not in a mean freaking way, not no keyboard warrior style of telling how it is. So when talking about this movie, it is a low-ish budget one. This is a Legion M, and it's basically ones that are funded by the fans. So it's a fine movie. Like, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it. My biggest gripe of it is saying it's a true story, and then saying that people commit suicide is a true story, but everything about this also just doesn't connect because the 2 people that commit suicide were men. This was 2 females. And also, I think people are kind of now noticing the mixed race part of this. And what I mean by that is when Ed Harris is Miss Martin Green's, granddaughter, people are like, how is that possible? Because when we look at the skin color, pigmentation, it just doesn't work. And I just feel like at that point, I think Hollywood is starting to like push it a little bit too much on the whole mixed race thing, where it's like, is that really feasible anymore? And that's not like saying it's all white people. No, there was black people in my theater as well, basically, where like, Ed Harris is the grandfather. It was just confusion. Same when you watch Imaginary, it's the same way. So I kind of find that also I want to say an issue, but it's actually an issue. But I think the overall story of, do we want to put our grandparents in nursing homes, because nursing homes are so damn depressing and things like that. And it's also about, if people don't die in the battlefield, they come home and it's harder to cope in the real world. Because let's be honest, when you're in Afghanistan, Iraq, Niger, your deployments, it's not the real world. You're there for 6, 8, 10 months, a year, 15 months, 18 months at a time. Then you have to go back to the real world of like, oh God, I got to weld shit. I got to actually do computer stuff. I got to actually like mesh with people that complain about the little shit, the small shit that they don't need to complain about because they don't really know. Like, they complain about the first world problems, and it's like, it's a crash. Also, it's about leaving your battle buddies behind, because that's what this whole thing was, where it's like, I want to stay in the army. Like, no, you shouldn't stay in the army because of XYZ. Okay, I'll get out of the army because you said so, and we'll stay together. And of course, friendships mend because one person goes off to college and one person doesn't want to do college. It's more, just in their other life and, mopping floors. And they're like, I could be making more money. I could be having health care. I could have X, X, Y, Y, Z, Z in the army. And, and some people like that. Some people like being told what to do and not having to worry about it. Same thing with like buying a house and renting. Buying a house, yes, you own the property. However, AC breaks on you. Shit breaks on you. Renting, landlord takes care of everything. Pipes breaks, they pay for it. They pay for it, they pay for it. So it's the same way as like responsibility or following orders, or basically being like, oh, you got to do this today. Got it. And you do it. You have a time limit. You're done. You go home. You have health care. You have leave, 2.5 days a month, etc., etc. So yeah, people, there is that, I guess, talk about what is best for you. And maybe you shouldn't listen to other people as well. And that's what this whole thing is, where it's like, would this person still be alive if they're in the army? Who knows? And that's the question, is they could have deployed multiple more times and something worse could have happened, or maybe not, but they're doing more of a shitty thing. So it's, that whole dynamic is also in this, as well as the younger generation thinking the older generation's never experienced this before. But Vietnam, people died multiple times, probably, I wouldn't say more horrific rates, but probably because the chemical warfare, the type of bombs and shit going down, is a lot worse weapons back in Vietnam, let's put it that way. Also, in Vietnam, it was true where when you get home, the uniform is coming off when you get into America, because you have the preppy-ass college kids and the liberal cunts like the Jane Fondas in the world spitting on soldiers thinking they're baby killers, and probably 97% of them weren't that whatsoever. And of course, you have the racial tensions between the blacks and whites coming back as well, where it was just a horrible time. Like, when you think about it, absolutely. And some of the dialogue in here was a little bit cringe when it came to that as well. But overall, my dear friend Zoe, I think it does its job right. I think it's acted well. The message is there. However, there were some glaring flaws, I think, with some of the script issues, some of the casting as well. Not like some are bad acting, but just the dynamics. I don't know, it kind of was awkward. But also, I also get irked when it's called a true story or event, but the event is suicide, and they're soldiers, and there are different people that do probably go through these therapy circles, because you could tell they're probably real life Air Force, Marines, etc. But the overall grasping story isn't real. So my dead friend Zoe will receive a 3.5 out of 5 Futons, which equals at 70%. So see, the critics and user scores gave this one. Critics, a 95%, that's impressive, with 65 of them. Audience score at 93% with 50 of them. Critic consensus, carrying off painful subject matter with a light touch, my dead friend Zoe invites audience to a healing process that comes with both chuckles and tears. I mean, I agree. It's a well-crafted movie with a well-thought-out message. 70, 75, 93. Chase Hockey with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One more thing is Bluetoontopia. You Blue Futonians, thank you for watching. For a great down. Can watch this tape tomorrow week from my 3 for every single freaking one of you. I'm losing my voice. This is my 4th review. My voice is almost gone.